Hey up everybody, welcome back to the Ardu Cycling YouTube channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you the team that I am going to be selecting for the VELOGAMES Spain competition coming up on Friday in the evening, starting off with a TTT. I wanted to share with you who I'm going to be selecting so that there's complete clarity, showing that I'm not cheating or anything in any sort of way. So let's start off with my first rider, and that is going to be Remco Evenepoel. I have gone through a lot of iterations of teams. Some of them didn't include Evenepoel, some of them included Roglic, but I've decided to leave Roglic out of this team. A little bit of a spoiler alert there, but I think that Evenepoel is a great rider. I think that he's definitely got a shot of winning this race. The time trial, the shallow gradients in the last week, and I really think that he's going very well at the moment, including that San Sebastian win. So Evenepoel is going to be kind of the main man going into this race for my team. And then my second rider is going to be Joao Almeida, of course, won that final stage of the Vuelta Burgos, and that's given me a lot of promise going into this race. Of course, he was fourth in the Giro, and I'm expecting something somewhat similar. I even think that Joao could finish on the podium in this race realistically. I think that he is coming into just a really good bit of form at the moment. My third rider is Simon Yates, 14 credits, and it made me think back to 2018 when he won this race, where he was a lot more expensive, and after a few years of going to the Giro and it's not really worked out for him, it's good to see that he's coming back to the Vuelta, and I think that he generally goes better in Spain. You look at his results recently on Pro Cycling Stats, he's going really well, and I certainly think that Yates, although maybe not finishing on the podium in my opinion, I certainly think that he could come top 5, top 6, and he's got a decent time trial on him as well, as we've seen in the Giro and Paris this year, so I think that he's going to be a pretty solid GC pick. And then I've also got Miguel Lopez as my other climber, because I quite like the prospect of having lots of GC riders in this race. If you look back at the previous VeloGames for the Spain competition over the last few years, it's always those GC riders who finish highest up in the scoring. So therefore I'm going to try go with multiple GC riders to try and cover as many of those as possible. Lopez of course looked good at Burgos, and this is really got to be his main goal for the year. After all, he didn't get very far into the Giro, and usually the Vuelta is a race that he does quite well in. I certainly think that he could come top 5 in GC in this race. My sprinter is going to be Caden Groves. If you watch my preview, of course, if you haven't watched that, go and watch it after this video. I've said that Groves is the best value for money sprinter in this race, and I still stand by that. I think that he's decent at climbing, and he'll get over some of the lumpier stages and perhaps contest some sprints which some of the pure sprinters like a Tim Merlier might not get to. So I think that Groves is a very safe choice. I then got my first unclassified rider as Hayter. After a few iterations at the start when I was making teams, I didn't have Hayter in my team, but I've come to terms with the fact that I think that he is the best unclassified rider to go with. His time trialling, his sprinting, his probability of getting assist points through Ineos Grenadiers, I think is definitely worthwhile putting him onto your team, and he's a very safe choice, I believe, to pick up multiple top 10s in this race. I've got my second unclassified rider as Jacko Hanan, who is a 4-point rider, and really I could have gone with a lot of 4-point riders as I said in my preview, but I've gone with Hanan because he looked good at recent Tour de l'Ain, which is the race that Michael Storer won last year before having a really good Vuelta. Although Hanan will more than likely be helping O'Connor, and he hasn't looked particularly great over the last few years in terms of results, I think that maybe this could be the race where he turns that around. At the age of 25, I certainly think that it's going to be kind of now or never that Hanan starts to get results, and I certainly think that the recent Tour de l'Ain gives a little bit of hope to the fact that he might do quite well in this race on some hilltop finishes. My final unclassified rider is Rudy Millard. Again, very similar to Hanan, did very good at a recent Tour de l'Ain. I just watched some of the race footage, he looked pretty strong there, and Groupama seemed to be launching a team into this race which is very aggressive, going after breakaways, and I think that Millard could be a very strong candidate to get into the top 10 multiple times on quite a few stages, considering how good he is at climbing. And then my final rider is an 8-point rider, if you've been keeping count of the maths, and that is going to be Santiago Boytillago. I've decided that I think that he is going to be the best 8-point rider just because he's in some great form at the moment, and of all the Bahrain victorious riders, I really think that he is going to be the most dangerous. They even say in their press release that they're expecting him to get into multiple breakaways, I guess somewhat similar to what he did in the Giro. You know, in the Giro, he finished 12th in GC, he finished inside the top 10 multiple times, and he won a stage. I think that he could definitely do something similar here, especially since we've just seen him at the Vuelta Burgos doing really well. including picking up a stage on stage 1. So that is the team that I'm going into this race with. It includes 4 GC riders, sort of 2 sprinters, and then 3 guys who are there for these sort of mountain breakaways. Let me know in the comments down below who you're thinking of going with and what you think of my team as well. How would you improve my team after all? I think it's good that you guys perhaps provide some feedback on what I'm doing as well. And all that is left to say is to keep safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!